Hi students, this is Mr. Yao. In the previous lesson, we have relearned or reviewed angle relationships that you have learned last year. In this lesson, we're going to continue to do more with some slightly more complicated questions. So let's get started. Example 1. First, identify the relationship. We see the two angles. One is on the left side, the other is on the right side, so it's maybe alternate, some kind of alternate angle. However, they're actually on the same line. That changes things. When they're on the same line and they're next to each other, they're actually forming a straight line, and that is supplementary angles. And that means they're adding up to 180 degrees. So 24x minus 2 plus 37x minus 1 equals 180. Combine like terms, it's going to be 61x minus 3 equals 180. Add the 3 over, divided by 61, so x equals 3. That's example 1. Example 2. The two angles, one is on the interior of the parallel line, the other is on the exterior, so it's not about that. But you can see the two angles, one is pointing up left and then left, the other is pointing down right and then right. They only share a point, so they are actually vertical angles. And vertical angles are congruent to each other, so we just need to set them equal to each other. 14x plus 7 equals 15x plus 2. Let's move things over. Subtract 15x over, and then subtract the 7 to the other side. We've got negative x equals negative 5, so x equals 5. That's example 2. Moving on, example 3. One is on the left side of the transversal, the other on the right side of the transversal, and they're both inside the parallel lines. So alternate interior angles. And alternate interior angles are congruent to each other as well, so we just need to set them equal to each other. 17x plus 3 equals 122. Subtract 3 over. We're going to get 17x, that equals to 119. Divide both sides by a 17. X equals 7. Example 4. They're both outside the parallel lines. One is on the left, the other is on the right. So that would be alternate exterior angles. And they're also equal to each other. Negative 1 plus 14x equals 12x plus 17. Move the x to the left side. Move the number to the right side. So we got 2x equals 16. So x equals 8. That's example 4. Moving on, example 5. One is in between the parallel line, another is outside the parallel line. They're actually on the same side, so it's not any of the alternate or the same side or interior, exterior. But if you look at the two angles again, one is pointing down and then right. The other is also pointing down, then right. So they are actually corresponding angles. The corresponding angles are congruent to each other, so 23x minus 5 equals 21x plus 5. Move the x to the left side. Move the number to the right side. We got 2x equals 10, so x equals 5. But it's also asking to find the angle itself. So 23 times 5, we're just plugging x into the representation of the angle, then minus 5. And that will give us 110. That's example 5. Moving on, example 6. They're both on the inside of the parallel lines, and they're on the same side of the transversal. So that would be same side interior angles, or consecutive interior angles, either way. And for interior angles, the relationship is, you can clearly tell they're not the same. So it's actually going to be adding up to 180 degrees. So x plus 109 plus x plus 89, that equals to 180. So we already said they add up to 180, and that's exactly how we set them up, using the one angle adding the other angle, that equals to 180. 2x plus, this is 198 equals 118. Subtract 198 over, so 2x equals negative 18. X equals negative 9. However, we're not done. The question is asking us to find the angles. It doesn't quite matter which one is angle 1, which is angle 2. We're just finding both of them. So for x plus 109 will be negative 9 plus 109, and that is 100. And the other one, x plus 89, that will be negative 9 plus 89, which is 8. And there you go. These are the angles. That's example 6. Moving on, example 7. One on the outside, the other on the inside, and they're also on different sides. So it's not about the alternate interior, exterior, any of these angles, but they share one point, and the arrows are pointing to complete opposite direction when you make up the angles. So they are vertical angles. Let's set them equal to each other. 30x equals 29x plus 4. Just need to move the x over. X equals 4. But the question is asking for the angle, so 30 times 4. The angle is 120 degrees. Next, example 8. We have parallel lines because these arrows indicate that these two lines are parallel. If you haven't practiced any of the previous examples, I'm going to ask you to pause here and try the next few examples. Hopefully you have tried. Let's have a look. You gotta take into consideration each letter, one letter at a time. So there are quite a few different relationships that involves in this question. First, you can kind of see these three angles. They are forming a straight line, which means they are going to together add up to 180 degrees. So 3x plus 64 plus x, that's going to give you 180. 4x plus 64 equals 180. 4x equals 116. So x is going to be 29. So we now know that x is 29. And you can also find the other side of the angle if you want to. That is going to be 87. Okay, these are the three angles down here. And then, since the two lines are parallel, we can actually move up to z and the 0.5 y. First, if you look at z, if the two lines are parallel, and then we look at this line right here, considered to be the transversal, well, then z and x together is going to add up to 180 because they are same side interior angles. So 29 plus z equals 180, which gives us z as 151 degrees. Here's another way to do it. If you actually look at 87 and 64 together, that is going to be 151. And these two angles together right here is going to be the alternate interior angle with z. That would also give us z as 151. So you could also do z equals the 87 plus 64. That equals 151. That's another way to do it. And now if you keep looking, we have a triangle here. And if these two lines are parallel, you can actually find out this is 87. Let me actually use a different color. This angle is 87 because you have a z-shaped alternating interior angle right there. So you could do 87 plus 64 plus 0.5y. That equals to 180. Then solve for y. That's one method. Or you can actually look at the alternating interior angle on this side and realize 0.5y and 29 are alternate interior angles. So they are equal. That means y is going to be 58. So there are quite a few different ways you can actually go about this question. Moving on, example 9. Solve for x, y, and z again. Single arrows mean these two lines are parallel. The double arrows indicate that these two lines are parallel. So first, if you focus on the parallel lines, you should be able to tell that x and 106, they are same side interior angle because this is our transversal line. So x plus 106 is going to be 180. That leaves us with an x of 74. And then you have two different ways to look at it. Either you can see x and 2y, they are actually corresponding angles. So x equals 2y, which equals 74. That's one way to do it. Or you can see 106 and 2y together. They're supplementary angles. So 106 plus 2y equals 180. Either way, you're going to get y equals 37. Now let's move on to z. Well, if these two are parallel lines, you found x already, and that means you can actually move to right here. This angle is going to be 74. And you can see 4z plus 6 and 74, they are going to be same side interior. Or another way is you can move the x down to here to have a corresponding angle. But no matter what, 4z plus 6 plus 74 is going to be 180, either by same side interior angles or by straight line supplementary angles. And that would be 4z plus 80 equals 180. Subtract 80 over it and divide by 4. Z should be 25. That is example 9. Moving on, example 10. For example 10, there's only one indicator about parallel lines. The other two, even by looking, you can tell they're not parallel. So that means we have to use parallel lines either with 90 and 3y plus 18 on this side, or with 15x plus 30 and 10x on the other side. As for the left side and the right side, there's no connection between them because these two lines are not parallel. So you can't use these. But if you focus on the parallel line, then look at the transversal. So first, on the left side, these are the parallel lines. We have a transversal. These two angles are going to be same side interior angles. So 90 plus 3y plus 18 is going to equal to 180. Let's subtract them. Let's combine like terms. 3y plus 108 equals 180. Subtract it over 3y is going to be 72. So y is 24. As for the other side, the 15x plus 30 and the 10x, they actually don't have any relationship with any angle on the left side. That's actually a different transversal. Still the same parallel lines, but the transversal line is on the other side. And they're also going to add up to 180 degrees. So 15x plus 30 plus 10x, that is going to equal to 180. We have 25x plus 30 equals to 180. Subtract 30 over 25x equals 150. That gives us x equals 6. And that is example 10. And that's everything for the second angle relationship review lesson. Thank you.